What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about how to actually improve at Age of Empires 4. I know that lots of players just play the game and they feel like maybe they don't really get better. I've felt like that at times, and I've had a lot of people tell me that. So we're going to talk about what my process has been for actually improving. If you didn't know, um, I started in I started playing this game about a year ago against AI. Well, actually, it's been a year and a half now. Against AI with my brother and my friends. I had never played RTS before. I had no idea what I was doing, and now I'm in and out of Conqueror 1, usually more in the Diamond range. So this game's just gonna be playing in the background while I talk. This was my final ranked game to hit Conqueror this season. I probably won't play anymore on this account because there's only a few weeks left in the season. But I'll still be practicing, I'll still be streaming, there'll still be YouTube videos, don't worry. In any case, let's get started. So, the, the first thing you need to do to actually improve is obviously identify your weak spots, identify what you're doing wrong, right? So I'm going to go into an example for me, what I improved on this season. Now, this might be a bit higher level, right? If you were a lower level, you might just need to focus on things like making villagers. But for me this season, the big thing I wanted to improve on, the biggest thing I wanted to improve on was siege pushes. Because the moment that I saw a keep, I would often just like throw away my army and I would just keep trying to kill villagers until my opponent forfeit. And even if they had to keep defending, um, keeps would frustrate me and siege would frustrate me. And by the time I got siege out on the field, it would be too late. My opponent would have a massive Springolds, they'd be recovering, their economy would be recovering, and I had thrown away too many knights, basically. And I was making this mistake a lot in the beginning of the season. Like I would win a lot of games by just attacking my opponent in all different spots and killing a lot of villagers, but I would also lose a lot of games because I wouldn't transition into siege, and I would just keep throwing away units until I just quit because I was behind at that point, right? So what I did was I finally, I just told myself before every game, like, you see a keep, you make siege. You see a keep, you make siege. You see a keep, you make siege. And the first time I did it, I wasn't necessarily like good at using my siege, and I wasn't good at Sprinkled Micro or anything like that. And maybe I'm still not the best at those things, but I made it a habit. I made it a habit. If there's keeps, if there's something I need siege to deal with, if I need siege to end the game, I get it, and I get it right away. I don't delay. And I don't throw away units trying to kill villagers nearly as much as I used to either. That was the other aspect of that. I was throwing away lots of units to just try and kill villagers over and over again, and that doesn't always work. Sometimes you need siege to take down the defenses that are defending the villagers. So, the point of what I'm saying is find your weak spots, force yourself to get better by focusing on specific things, and pick one thing at a time. So, for example, if you're not building villagers constantly, which is a very common mistake at lower levels, um, you should actually be practicing that, and you should practice that against AI. And I know, man, like anytime I say those words, people just are like, for real? You want me to play games against AI? How is that gonna help me get better? Guys, if you're not constantly making villagers, if you're having to tell yourself in the middle of a game that you should be making villagers, that is a problem. Like, I cannot emphasize how much of a problem that is. And the way to fix it is to make it muscle memory to constantly produce villagers. So you can play games over and over again and tell yourself, hey, I need to constantly make villagers and play games against real people. But in a real game, there's a lot going on. You've got to focus on the opponent's military, and it's hard to ingrain yourself with a habit when you're playing a real game against a real person. If you just start a game against AI, you don't have to play a full game against AI. You don't have to kill the AI. You just play for 10 minutes. Make yourself make villagers the whole time. If you get to the 10-minute mark without missing a single villager queue, you're doing great. and you're well on your way to constantly producing villagers. And that's actually how I got down the villager production. I didn't just play only against AI, but before I launched into competitive ranked games, each day I would play a couple games against AI and just make sure I was constantly producing villagers. I put my TC on the mouse button. I learned the hotkey for villagers is Q. If you're clicking to make villagers, that's a mistake. You should be pressing Q on your keyboard to make villagers. And I just practiced it until it became muscle memory and I didn't have to think about it anymore. So you need to identify what you are doing wrong. Like, maybe you are constantly producing villagers, but your macro is bad. Maybe you put way too many villagers on wood, and eventually you have 1700 wood in the feudal age. Who knows, right? Everybody is different, everybody is making different mistakes, and you've got to figure it out by watching your own replays of your own losses, and if you watch a replay and you don't know why you lost, feel free to come by my stream and show me the replay. I'm always happy to do replay reviews, so yeah. And there's lots of other streamers willing to help as well. There's Discord servers where you can get help, so just don't be afraid to ask for help, is my point. So you need to, like, not only just find your weak points, like why you're losing games, right? The first thing you should be looking at games and saying, how am I losing this game? What did I do wrong, right? But you also can look at things like, when is your macro going bad? At what point in the game, right? Do you get to Castle Age without really floating a lot of resources along the way? But then in Castle Age, your macro falls apart as you have to transition to farms and the food runs out on the map? Well, that's what you need to be practicing. You need to be practicing your farm transition. You need to be practicing layering in farms as your food is running out without hurting your ability to produce military too much. These are all things that I've had to practice this season, last season, at any point. I really had to practice a lot of this stuff. So, yeah. The point is to find a reoccurring theme, right? Maybe one game you lose because you just made a mistake, and it's not a mistake you normally make. That's not the game to be looking at. The point is to find a reoccurring theme. Like, why, like, a consistent reason for you losing games. Are you consistently losing because you're feudal all-in, and your opponent hits castle and gets out men-at-arms, and you don't have that answer to men-at-arms, and then you throw away your army? That was a big problem for me at different points in my Age of Empires career. I would do a feudal all-in, and then my opponent would hit castle with men-at-arms and knights, and I would just lose because I was nowhere near castle. So if that's why you're losing, you need to focus on improving your macro and feudal age so that you can transition to castle at a reasonable time. Is it that you don't go for relics at all? Like, maybe that's something you need to improve on. You hit Castle Age and you never remember relics. You never contest the relics. I mean, there's just so many different things, guys. There's so many things that it could be. So the point is to figure out why the consistent things that you're doing wrong and focus on those things. And don't be too hard on yourselves, guys. Remember that literally everyone else is also improving at the game. You're not the only one playing. You're not the only one trying to improve. And if you don't reach as high of a rank as you did last season, well, maybe you're not playing enough, and also maybe, like, your opponents have just gotten better. Like, honestly, it's harder to be. Each season, it's going to get harder and harder to achieve a certain rank. Like, Conqueror 1 is going to get harder as time goes on, because the players in Diamond are getting better. And the whole player base is getting better. The players at the top are getting better. And as that happens, it gets harder and harder to achieve different ranks. So you have to not only improve, but you have to improve faster than the other players your rank if you want to rise in the ranks. And yeah, it's really important not to be too hard on yourselves. So I'm just going to talk about some of the other things I learned this season in hopes that maybe it will help you. one thing I really gotten better at this season, and this just comes with time, this isn't like something you can just practice, is recognizing my position in the game and knowing when I'm ahead and knowing how to end the game, knowing exactly what I need to do. Like I said, that's not something you can just learn, that just comes with time and experience. But, for example, in this game, like, I knew he had gotten 2 relics for free, and I got no damage done with my knights. However, I also knew that he was struggling for food. I knew he was on 1 TC, and I was out booming him. You can see the villager count. I have way more villagers. And I just decided to defend these relics as long as I could. I don't think I ever picked them up myself. And let him throw away units to me defending the relics. And he did. He just kept throwing away extremely expensive knights. And so at this point, I'm staying ahead in military. I'm staying ahead in villagers. He's not getting the relics. He's only got 2, which isn't super good for me, but it's not super bad for me. And I'm just preparing to drop a keep and end the game. Right? And whereas before, a lot of things, like, if I played the same matchup a few months ago, I likely would be using this military to attack in areas where there's towers or town centers, sprinkled towers. I would be losing my knights. I would, probably have let him got these relics, and I would find a way to lose the game. I mean, it's just facts. That's what I would have done a few months ago. And as I've gotten better, I just know that him throwing away all these knights is really bad. I know he hasn't gotten a second TC. And, well, at least I knew he didn't get an early second TC. And I just knew I was ahead. And at this point, the only way for me to lose this game is to throw away all my knights, really. Like, I'm so far ahead in every way. It doesn't matter, like, he has 2 relics, but that doesn't make up for a 34 villager difference. It's not enough. And, yeah. So, other things that I've worked on, though, specifically this season, I told you guys about the siege pushes, my macro to Castle Age. So, like I said, I would often, do feudal all in and then just not be able to get to Castle Age when I needed to. That was a big mistake I would make very often, especially last season. And then I would lose to Castle Age units if I hadn't managed to fully kill my opponent. So this season, I have spent a lot of time practicing transitioning to Castle after a feudal push. And it seems like a difficult thing, right? Like, at first you're like, oh, I always end up floating so much wood, and I just don't know, like, I can't get Castle Age at the right time while also pushing. But it's actually just, you literally just pull the wood villagers, right? As you're trying to get to Castle, you've made a good push, you killed some vills, you don't want to overcommit because you know your opponent is probably about to go Castle. So what you do is you literally just pull the wood villagers to wood, and to food, and to gold. And you go down to like 5, 6 villagers on wood while you try to get Castle. It's that simple. And it just takes practice. Everything in this game just takes practice. Other things that I've been working on this season is just being aware of all the areas my opponent's gathering resources. I knew he had this at this point, but there was also a tower here, so I wasn't bothering too much. I knew he was on these deer, but once again, sprinkled tower out here, so I wasn't harassing too much. And I knew he was going to be moving out for this deer, and I came in at just the right time to kill the tower before it got upgraded and stop him from gathering the deer. So at this point, I know he's hurting for food. I've got way more villagers, I've got more army, and I'm ready to end the game. Other things that I've worked on this season, scouting my opponent's army before moving out. This is something, this is a mistake that I think most of the player base makes. They make a force, and they just move out to go attack, and they don't necessarily use their scout to see exactly what units their opponent has on the field, how many units their opponent has in the field. So that's something I've been practicing a lot. And getting relics consistently is another big thing I focused on this season, because I would just not... Well, I lost a villager to the boar there, but whatever. I would just not do it. I would ignore the relics and just try to kill my opponent. And you guys can see, like, even in this game, this is to get to Conqueror 1. Look at how many resources I'm floating right now. I have 1,600 food in the bank. I don't have nearly enough gold to match it so that I could get enough knights. And, yeah, I'm not playing perfectly. But at the same time, I have 50 more bills. I have 20 more army. I have a keep in front of their base. So you don't have to play perfectly. You just need to be improving. You just need to be improving. Eventually, I might let him get these relics. I don't know. But at this point, I didn't care about the relics anymore. The relics aren't going to bring him back into this game. So, yeah. So, I don't know. I think that's about it for what I have to say about, like how to actually improve. Like I said, if you don't know why you're losing games, please come by my stream. I'm happy to watch your replay. This doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to be a subscriber. Like, I'll watch at least one replay from each player who comes and asks, and if you want a second replay, you can earn that by just getting channel points. So just watching the stream, and you'll naturally get channel points. You don't have to be a subscriber. I don't need you to donate money, nothing like that. Like, if you don't know why you're losing, I'm happy to help, and other players out there are happy to help as well, so. Yeah. So this game is actually pretty over. He goes for Springolds here to snipe this, and I just kind of switch into Rams, because I end up with stupid amounts of wood. And my army is able to wipe his in a moment here. I think I kind of realized I just need to take this fight in a second. Oh, that was bad micro. I lost a couple knights there. And I let his military catch up. But my military is knights with royal bloodlines, so... And he's fighting under the keep here. Yeah, and I actually let him take out this keep, which wasn't the best move, but guys, look at the villager count right now. I mean, you're not overcoming this villager deficit, not if I play it correctly, and yeah, this game is over. When he hit Imperial Age, I knew I needed to just take this fight and kill the siege, and then I just start rolling in the Rams, so... So yeah, I'm happy to be back in Conqueror. I've hit my goal for the season. Trying to get another account into Diamond range so I can keep practicing for the next couple weeks while we wait on the new season. But yeah, let me know in the comments if there's any specific questions you have about improving or watching replays, identifying mistakes. Let me know if there's any kind of guides you want to see. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. It really helps out. Helps people see the video. It helps my channel get more attention. And yeah, if you're like wondering why I don't stream as consistently, like my main focus is the YouTube. I'm trying to stream more consistently, but my main focus is the YouTube. So you can always catch me with a new video every single day on YouTube. I'm committed to that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good day.